Life Audio.
Welcome to the TMUS podcast, where we share how grace, commitment, and cooperation can help couples live the everyday moments of marriage together. Hey, everybody, we are Ted.
And Ashley Slater. We've all been non-listeners at times and fallen into bad listening habits. Maybe we've been the advice giver, the optimist, or the one who makes it all about us. In this episode, we'll look at 6 types of non-listeners and then share 3 simple ways to become a better listener and connect more deeply with your spouse. So, Ted.
Yo, yo, yo.
So, Ted is like my favorite way to start the podcast, isn't it?
And then I have my opportunity to come up with something.
Yes. Okay. So I
could have said, sorry, I wasn't listening, but that would have been corny and obviously untrue. So,
but it's on topic.
On topic.
Yes, because today we are talking about something that can improve the way we connect in our marriages. And that's how to be a better listener.
And we can all become better listeners. So.
Oh, yeah. I know I can grow in this area.
Ditto. Awesome.
But before we get practical,
yes,
let's have a little fun.
And be impractical.
And as I mentioned in the opener, talk about the opposite, the non-listeners.
The opposite of that. Let's do it.
You know, the ones they don't actually listen, but somehow they always have a response. And here's the thing. Most of us are a non-listener at times and fall into some of these habits.
True story. So judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
Well, judgment little zone.
Self-evaluation time.
There you go. That's a better way of putting it. Okay.
So as you're listening, maybe self-evaluate yourself. That sounded funny. Just like we're evaluating ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So did you know that there are 6 different types of non-listeners?
According to whom?
I will get to that. Yes.
Okay. Somebody says there are 6 types of non-listeners?
Yes.
Okay. Let's
I came across a blog post on boundless.org.
I like Boundless.
Yes. Well, you
I've read
worked for them
once or twice.
Way back when, and I still write for them.
Yeah.
And
boundless.org.
Yes, this blog post, it talked about each of these non-listeners, and in it, the writer referenced the work of authors Kelsey Crowe, PhD, and Emily McDowell. And they wrote a book called There Is No Good Card for This: What to Say and Do When Life is Scary, Awful, and Unfair to People You Love. And I did end up buying the book on Kindle because it sounded super practical.
Mm-hmm, it does sound intriguing.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, just skim parts of it. Mm-hmm. But I'll include links in the show notes to both the book and the Boundless post.
Sounds good.
So Crowe and McDowell, they are the ones who offer a snapshot of 6 types of non-listeners. They say that each type is characterized by a normal, common, go-to response that many of us lean on. In other words, they're things we all probably do sometimes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do as we go through this list, are we going through the list?
Yeah.
Okay, what I'm going to be doing is thinking of how I do these things. I'm not going to be pointing fingers at anybody. I'm looking at how I can see non-listener in myself.
Right, which I think is the helpful.
Because I want to change me. I don't want to change my neighbor down the street.
You can't change your neighbor. No. You can only change you. So, yeah. Right. Okay, so the first type of non-listener is the sage.
Okay, like the learned, scholarly, magi kind of person.
Right. This is the person who gives wise perspective.
Not the savory spice.
No.
Okay.
They give wise perspective and advice even when nobody asked for it.
Yeah, I've done that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's like, dude, no.
I think it's really easy to do that with teenagers and kids too.
True. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Good point.
So next is the doomsayer.
The doomsayer.
And no matter what we share, they react with alarm and bring up worst case scenarios.
Ooh, I've done that.
Me too. Mm-hmm. I tend to think in like, ooh, how can I avoid the worst case scenario? So yeah, I am definitely guilty of this one.
So like an example might be, hey, I'm hungry. And like the doomsayer is like, we don't have any food. Lock the doors.
Or, hey, I want to go do this. Oh, but if you do this, then this could happen or this could happen.
Oh, fear. Okay.
Right. I think they play on fear.
That's no fun.
Right. Okay. And then we have the optimist.
Okay.
And when we bring up something tough or challenging, they always offer us the bright side.
I'm having a really rough day today.
God will take care of it. You just need to trust him more. He's got you in his hands. You know, that kind of thing.
But you haven't really heard me.
Right.
You could be asking, well, what do you mean you've had a hard day? Let's talk about it.
Exactly. And I mean, it's true that we can trust God. He takes care of us. But that kind of like Christianese type talk in response to when you're trying to share is not helpful.
Who would
ready for it.
Who would think that quickly providing encouragement like, you'll get through this, God will be by your side, could be an expression of not listening.
Right. I mean, it's kind of shutting down and dismissing.
It kind of is.
Someone's feelings.
Your feelings aren't really worth my time to discuss. Let's get right to throwing some advice to you.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, the fourth type,
okay,
and we'll see if I can pronounce this.
Epidemiologist?
Yes. Thank you. You saved me the embarrassment of mispronouncing that there.
Uh-huh.
So instead of learning how you feel first, they ask a lot of clarifying fact-based questions.
Okay. Can you give me an example of what this might look like?
Say, maybe you're going through a medical issue.
Okay.
And you're feeling really nervous and scared or vulnerable.
Okay.
And instead of asking how you're feeling, how you're doing with it, they're like, well, explain to me the procedure you had, or explain to me this.
So it might be sort of getting the conversation off track where it might be better to go talking about how you feeling about this. Are you anxious? Are you nervous? And it's sort of
I think it's okay to ask those kind of questions.
Sure,
but maybe
I do
you
that.
need to, I think perhaps you tune into how they feel first.
Okay.
This has got to be really hard. How are you doing? And then you ease into, because I don't think there's actually anything wrong with asking this.
Right.
It's just not learning how they feel about it first.
That's good. So if it's all a fact-finding mission, there's little emotional connection or personal connection being made there.
Right.
One of my friends, she told me about this malady she has where she's essentially dizzy all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I asked her the name of it and asked her what that is all about. But then I moved past that to feeling compassion for being in that state.
Right.
Kind of all the time being dizzy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
She can't drive and some other issues. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got to the feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if she took it well.
She did.
Then I think you're okay. But I think it's something to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And finally, there's the all about me non-listener. And I have done this.
You okay?
I think in the last 2 or 3 years, I've been very aware of trying not to do this. You try to relate to what they're talking about or what they're going through, but instead
you tell stories about yourself.
Yeah, and you take over the conversation and make it about your own story. And I've seen this happen also in groups.
It's a good point. And we do have legitimate stories. If somebody's talking about the loss of a child or, miscarriage, for example, we can talk about that.
Right.
Because we've experienced that. But maybe, it's better not to... What was the descriptor?
Take over the conversation.
All about me?
Yeah. And it could be, if it's a miscarriage.
I've been there. Tell me how you're doing.
Yeah. Right. Relating, but then immediately turning it back to them so that you're not taking away their...
Otherwise, you're not focusing on your ears listening. Mm-hmm. You're focusing on your mouth and what you're going to say and the advice and how smart you are.
And if they want to hear your story, they can ask.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Okay.
So,
ears.
Like I said, I see myself in several of these.
Me too.
And not like in a wake-up call, like I had no idea sort of way, but in a, yep, I'm guilty. I need to work on that.
You need to work on it.
Right. Like I said, the trying to relate one, that's been something I've actively been trying to work on. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, the good news is that Crow and McDowell say the first step is noticing or taking inventory.
Excellent.
Which that's what we're doing. And they encourage us to pay attention the next time we're listening to someone else. What is our default response? And then they say to practice not doing that thing we normally do.
Okay, so if you're listening to somebody and you find yourself doing a default response, the only way you can sort of determine that you're doing a default response is if you intentionally sort of pause or self-reflect when somebody's talking. You intentionally be aware, be present, and okay, what am I about to say and how I'm about to say it? That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what I've been doing with this. When I want to relate to someone and share my experience, I find myself stopping and pulling back. And instead, I might offer a sentence saying, oh, I get it. And then asking them a question.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to put these in the context of marriage and ask ourselves, what are some other ways we can become better at listening to our spouse, in addition to not practicing our go-to response. So we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll discuss 3 easy ways we can strengthen our listening skills in marriage.
For some of us, personal finances aren't just personal. They include loved ones, neighbors, the communities we call home, and the causes we hold in our hearts. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than just money. We help you put your plans into motion and faith into action so you can do more for the ones in your heart. Because sometimes all you need to make a difference is someone to help you make it happen. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
Americans have a big healthcare problem. Over 100 million citizens carry medical debt while paying for overpriced and complicated health insurance. As Christians, we don't have to pay for a broken system. Christian Healthcare Ministries is an alternative to health insurance at half the cost. Plus, you can enroll at any time. Stand up to health insurance with a biblical solution. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about how to become better at listening to our spouse. And as we've both said, Ted and I, that we both need to work on this.
Yep.
And do better.
Absolutely.
So I found this.
And we've been doing this for a long time.
Right.
But we can always get better at listening.
You mean marriage? We've been doing this marriage thing.
And yeah. And I mean, just being conscious and aware of communication.
Right.
And yet here we are.
Yeah.
Still reminding ourselves, I can be a better listener.
Right. I mean, we both have master's degrees in communication.
Ooh, look at
and
me.
we still need to learn.
We're both sages.
I'm just saying that does not equal the fact that you have made it to where you should be.
Yes.
All right. So, do you want to hear the first tip that I have? And like I said, these are
How many do
simple,
you have?
easy ones. I have 3.
3 is a good number.
Okay. So the first one is to remove your barriers.
Okay.
So we all face common barriers or obstacles that keep us from listening well. For example, when we go out to eat and there's a TV screen in a restaurant, Ted, you know it's best if you sit on the side of the table that doesn't face the screen.
Right, unless I'm not in a talkative mood and then I'm like, oh, let's just sit so I can see the game, which really doesn't ever happen. But true, I can get so distracted by televisions in restaurants. It's just who I am. I'm like, my eyes start wandering up and then I sort of leave the table.
And I think I learned that about you while we were still dating.
So it's good to be aware of that.
Right. And how you can remove that barrier by not facing the TV.
Absolutely.
Right. Or for me, a barrier might be the never-ending to-do list that's always playing in my head. Yeah. Like I get focused on what's next so much that I can be thinking about the future instead of staying in the present.
Right. How's your podcast script writing going for the next couple of podcasts?
Right. That kind of thing. And so I have to intentionally push pause on that list so that I can be in the present and listen well.
Good.
And then I think, there are our phones. If they're in our hands, they can pull our focus away. Yeah. So removing that barrier means
That's a great example.
Literally putting them to the side or even better, out of reach.
Sure. Absolutely. That's an excellent example.
I mean, you just sent a meme to our family chat today that was 4 monkeys?
The 4 monkeys. The 3 monkeys. I see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. The 4th one, it was like, I'm just not present because I'm staring at my device.
The 4th one was holding a phone. And it was like, I see, hear, and speak to no one or something like that. Yeah. So phones are a huge barrier.
True.
In our current culture. So, I mean, other barriers can include a lack of empathy, or defensiveness, or information overload. And Ted, sometimes you feel the information overload when I'm sharing too many details at once.
That's true.
Or I'm talking too long.
That's true. Yeah, I just fill up with words and I can't – it's the weirdest thing. I just get to a point where I can't process very well. Got so much word information in my head and I need time to work through that sometimes.
And I am continually reminding myself to be aware of that. And sometimes you get a look on your face. But I think recently... I start
glazing over. I go,
Recently, I was like, hey, just politely tell me I love you. I like talking to you, but I've hit my capacity right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I can take it if it's gentle.
It's a weird thing to say to somebody, but if they understand the heart behind it, it's good.
Yeah. And it's better than you starting to glaze over and get frustrated because you just can't handle any more words.
That has happened.
So, all right.
I'm imperfect.
Aren't we all, right? So I read an article on Prepare Enrich that offered some practical ways that we can show that we're really listening to our spouse.
What is Prepare Enrich? Is it a website?
Yeah, we did the training for it with our church. It's kind of like you mentor engaged or newly married couples with their curriculum.
Got it.
We did that, probably 2.5, 3 years ago.
That's right. So you read something?
I read it. Yeah, I read an article on their website. And they said that one of the ways we can show that we're really listening to our spouse is to stop multitasking. That multitasking is not a good thing when our spouse really needs us to listen.
Sorry. I'm thinking of sometimes when maybe the first example should be a good example, but I'm going to give you a bad example of that. Like if I'm deep in the weeds of coding or something and my mind is totally in this, and you come in and you need to talk about something important, kind of a little bit of a gruff, miffed sort of sometimes, I push myself away from my desk, turn my computer away from me, and give you my full attention. Because I know I need to do that, but I've got kind of a bad attitude about it. Yeah. That's a bad example, but it's bad example. It's a good example of having maybe a bad attitude while doing the right thing.
Yes, but I'm learning more and more how to pick my timing better. Sometimes I'll peek in, and if you are very intent on what you're doing, I'll be like, is this important enough to interrupt him? Does he need to know this right now? Sometimes yes. Sometimes
yes.
No.
And of course, I remind myself that a relationship is more important than moving a pixel or changing a piece of code.
I get it, though. When I'm editing and I keep getting interrupted in the same paragraph and I have to keep starting over.
Starting over again, yeah.
I get it. I do. So they're saying when our spouse starts talking, we push ourselves away from our computer, as you said, or we put down our phone.
Yeah, I have to do that. Yeah. I can't multitask.
Yeah, we pause loading the dishwasher and give them our full attention because like you have trouble multitasking, I can multitask. But they say even if we can technically listen while we're folding laundry, if our spouse really has something important to say to us, then our spouse feels more valued when we focus solely on them.
Yeah.
Like if we're just talking grocery list, I can keep folding laundry.
Right.
But if it's something more of a heart conversation.
Yeah, and one of our daughters mentioned, what is it where you're like in the same physical space, but you're like doing something separate? Like I might be playing a little game on my thing and you're like sitting there reading something.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember what the term was.
Yeah, I think and we could, shoot the bowl back and forth, chatting.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving you my full attention because I am on my device playing some silly game.
Right.
But we're having a conversation. And I think that's an example where it's okay.
Well, and I think it's kind of an understood if I'm on something too and we're just kind of lightheartedly talking. Or I think they're referring more to when your spouse is like, hey, I had a crappy day and I really need you to listen to me.
Right. Or, hey, let's talk about what's for dinner. Even something like that, you push away, give full attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Good. All right. You ready for number 2?
I am.
All right. Hit pause on your response. And you kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think it's natural to start like drafting what we're going to say while our spouse is still talking. Because I know I do this. But the problem is that if my brain is busy preparing my response, then I'm not actually giving you my full attention. I'm half listening at best.
I think that's usually the case. I think there are different kinds of people. When I was younger, I could essentially multitask in my head. I could listen and think of responses really well. I think the older I get, I can't. I can't think as quickly and fast as I used to. So
yeah.
I need to pause so I can process before responding to something someone said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense. But like sometimes if I'm drafting a response in my head, it means that I'm already anticipating what they're going to continue to say and already basing how I'm going to respond on my assumption of how the rest of what they're telling me is going to go.
They might have 2 more sentences they need to say to clarify what they've already said, but you're not giving them an opportunity to say those 2 sentences.
Well, and even if they're saying them, I'm not fully listening because I'm already formulating my response.
Yeah, that's good.
So I think we can hit pause on our response and just fully focus on listening. And if we go back to Crow and McDowell, who had the non-listeners, they say the biggest hurdle to listening is resisting that urge to talk. They advise that we focus entirely on the other person's words, and when they finish speaking, wait 3 seconds before we respond.
And I think this will be helpful if the people involved in the conversation understand these rules. or aware of them or what you're doing. Because if I just don't respond, some people don't like silence. So they might be on second 2. They're like, okay, you're not responding. Let me keep going.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to talk about, when silence is uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
I think that for a lot of people, silence can feel really uncomfortable. I mean, for me, I've had to learn to be okay with silence because it goes back to negative experiences I've had in the past where silence meant something was wrong.
Oh,
like maybe
right.
I'd upset someone or they were giving me the cold shoulder. So I have often associated silence with punishment.
Right, with disengagement. When actually it's you're wanting to have the best engagement, so you're pausing to listen.
Or this, I must have made them upset with what I said. I must have hurt their feelings. I must have angered them. Mm-hmm. I must have done something wrong, and that's why they're silent and not responding.
That's interesting. So I could see how you could have a conversation about the way you have a conversation. That's weird, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a meta kind of step back. And I think that's okay with, people you love. Just talk about how do we communicate.
Yeah. Well, and with the whole silence thing, I've seen this spill into other areas of life. Like when I'm in the car with one of our daughters, if it's quiet for too long, I'll break the silence just to reassure her. Hey, I'm just quiet because I'm tired. I'm focusing on driving. I'm not upset. Nothing's wrong. And I don't think our daughters think that way because that hasn't been their experience with me.
Yeah.
But I'm still working through my negative experiences with silence. And so I want to assure them that nothing's wrong between us.
That's good.
And I think that I tend to fill space with words because silence has felt unsafe for me. So I think that's one reason people don't like silence. So if we're just someone if we're, uncomfortable with silence, or we're just someone who naturally feels the need to fill every gap with words, what's a practical way we can get better at pausing? And I found one idea from psychologist Richard Carlson, and it ties into what Crow and McDowell's said about taking 3 seconds.
Okay.
But it gives us something to do during those 3 seconds. And that is, he calls it breathe before you speak. So it's simple. When your spouse finishes talking, resist the urge to respond immediately and fill that time with taking a breath and let the pause happen.
So the conversations could look a whole lot different from the way they have looked. Where there's a conversation that's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It could look like saying something and just taking a pause. It's a lot slower conversation.
Right. Well,
maybe you can cover more when you're slower.
Maybe you understand more and then you don't have as many misunderstandings. I mean, the other day, after I was doing the research for this, you and I were catching up in the morning, and instead of filling in when you would pause and there was silence like I normally do, I took a breath, kind of waited a few seconds, and it turned out you weren't done talking yet. You continued on. And had I interrupted you or tried to fill that silence, I may have cut you off or changed the topic before you were done with it. So I was like, this is actually really practical and helpful. And then I still have to intentionally tell myself, remember, don't respond. Because it's not natural yet for me.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if you could say, maybe slow conversations can be a whole lot better than fast conversations.
Yeah.
Aim for going slow. Slow down, buddy. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And I think this one also gives us the opportunity to remind ourselves during that pause or breath not to be one of those non-listener types.
And there are several types of non-listeners.
Right. So we're going to take another short break. When we come back, we'll share one more easy way we can strengthen our listening skills in marriage.
For some of us, personal finances aren't just personal. They include loved ones, neighbors, the communities we call home, and the causes we hold in our hearts. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than just money. We help you put your plans into motion and faith into action so you can do more for the ones in your heart. Because sometimes all you need to make a difference is someone to help you make it happen. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
Americans have a big healthcare problem. Over 100 million citizens carry medical debt while paying for overpriced and complicated health insurance. As Christians, we don't have to pay for a broken system. Christian Healthcare Ministries is an alternative to health insurance at half the cost. Plus, you can enroll at any time. Stand up to health insurance with a biblical solution. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
So we're back and we're talking about how to be a better listener. Okay, are you ready for the next easy way we can improve our listening skills?
Number 3.
Number 3, show your interest.
Ooh, that sounds fascinating. What do you mean?
Very good. So as we listen, it's important to show that we are listening by asking follow-up questions. And I think here's where we need to be careful not to interrupt to ask our questions, though. So after we've taken that 3-second pause or that breath, I think that's a good time to be curious.
So is this active listening?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, basically active listening. Okay.
Right. Yeah, and I read a really interesting insight in an article called 6 Tools for Healthy Communication in Marriage, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes. Mm-hmm. And the author points out that if we share our thoughts first after listening, it often reveals that we aren't focused on our spouse. But he said that if we listen and ask a question to explore what our spouse has said, it shows that we care and are interested.
This can be hard work.
I know.
Until you get in these habits.
Exactly. Once we get in the habits, they're simple and easy. But yeah, they take intention.
True. We've developed some good habits, but it seems like the default is to be a bad listener. So we've got some good habits, but we can always work on maintaining the good habits and developing better habits.
Right. And I think we're all kind of tending to, our default is to think about ourselves. How do I feel about this? What do I have to say on this? And that can keep us, that can fuel those bad listening habits.
Absolutely.
Well, we can show interest and make sure that we understand by, this is an active listening technique that we've talked about before, which is called reflecting. And that's when we take the time in a conversation to kind of paraphrase back what we've heard. You know, it gives each other the opportunity to verify that we've correctly understood their meaning, or we can clarify. So I think that's a good way to show interest, show that we're listening, and help avoid misunderstandings also.
So what I'm hearing you say
is
that one thing we can do is sort of, what was the term used?
Reflecting.
Reflect back? Is it something I would reflect my understanding of what you said back to you?
Yes. And I think you have
just like I did.
Right. I think you have to do it in a way that doesn't seem patronizing. This might not work in a heated conversation.
So what you're trying to say, what I think you're trying to say, ineffectively.
Tone matters, right? All right.
Yes.
Well, we're ready to recap.
Recap.
So how can we become better at listening to our spouse? Here are 3 easy tips. Once you get in the habit, remove your barriers, hit pause on your response, and show your interest. Yep. And those all just take time and practice so they can become habit. All right, it's time for one more short break. And when we come back, we'll share this week's Us Time Challenge.
For some of us, personal finances aren't just personal. They include loved ones, neighbors, the communities we call home, and the causes we hold in our hearts. At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than just money. We help you put your plans into motion and faith into action so you can do more for the ones in your heart. Because sometimes all you need to make a difference is someone to help you make it happen. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
Americans have a big healthcare problem. Over 100 million citizens carry medical debt while paying for overpriced and complicated health insurance. As Christians, we don't have to pay for a broken system. Christian Healthcare Ministries is an alternative to health insurance at half the cost. Plus, you can enroll at any time. Stand up to health insurance with a biblical solution. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
So for this week's Us Time Challenge, I say practice either pausing for 3 seconds or taking a breath before you respond to your spouse.
I'd like to propose an us time challenge also. It's a little radical.
Okay.
Maybe 7 days of silence. Don't say a thing. All you do is listen.
But then people like me who have like a negative history with silence, I'll just think you're mad at me. And then I'll just be like, what did I do? And he won't tell me what I did because he's not talking.
Okay, it's not such a good idea. Okay, I like your idea better.
So a little more silence, but not too much.
Yeah.
A balance.
Excellent.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Okay.
Really helpful.
Well, thanks for joining us on the Team Us podcast. We're looking forward to the next time as we keep talking about how grace, commitment, and cooperation can help couples live the everyday moments of marriage together.
Team Us with Ted and Ashley Slater is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review the podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.
If you're tired of parenting advice and news headlines that are more confusing than assembling IKEA furniture, we've got just the podcast for you. My dear friend Abby and I are here to help you navigate the parenting roller coaster.
Should your kids be on social media? What should you tell a friend facing an unplanned pregnancy? These are just some of the many questions we tackle on our podcast.
Subscribe to The Real Deal of Parenting wherever you find your podcast.